In comparison to yesterday, today's session was far longer. I got up around 6 o'clock and was at the keyboard by like 6:30, and I managed to get about an hour. So definitely a little bit longer than yesterday's session. I mentioned that a lot of my time yesterday was spent on other obligations, and that the next few days it's going to be the same thing. Hence why I had to kind of do an early session here. I hate writing in the morning, it's just not my normal thing at all. But unfortunately, it's just out of necessity. After work today, I have a lot of things to tackle, and writing just has to be one of those things where I've got to put that aside, at least for a bit, as far as giving it like my most opportune moments in time. A lot of us write and a lot of us go through these projects if we're serious about them. We go through them with a level of attachment to our emotions. We feel that getting these projects done are what's going to make us happy. That because we've put these creative projects at the center of our lives, we think that our happiness correlates to that. The more we write, the better our sessions, the more we produce, we think the happier we are going to be. But as I've said before, this process is very long. The writing process and the publication process, even if it's a short story you're going to send out, it's long. It takes time. These moments that you'll get of happiness from doing it are minimal. They don't happen a lot throughout your year, and it's not going to last a very long time. Even when it happens, even when you hit it, you'll feel good for like a day or two, and then you're back to that same kind of feeling of uncertainty and ease and all that. And it's very difficult to be in a state of happiness when all you have are your projects. If you are constantly, working on your writing project, but everything else in your life is kind of falling apart, or you've neglected other aspects of your life, you're going to be miserable. You can't have a good writing session and have that trump starvation, or have that trump a failing marriage, right? If you put your time to the keyboard and you have, say, 90 minutes of really good writing, you're not gonna care if you've got a child that's facing a drug problem, right? If you've got some other aspect of your life that's so such a state of just flux, and such a state of kind of negativity. And so if you're neglecting these other aspects of your life, if you're neglecting your personal life and having that sort of that stability there outside of your office, outside of your writing room, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to have any kind of satisfaction. And yes, I gave some real extreme examples there, but even something as much as having like an untidy house, something very, very small there. If you have, clothes that are piling up in front of your laundry room, if you have dishes piling up in your sink, you're not. I don't think you're ever going to necessarily be in a state of like happiness or any kind of sense of tranquility. Even when you're going to the keyboard, it's going to carry over. You can't. It's like the people that try and do meditation. They've got like a bunch of things that are going sort of wrong in their life, and they can't seem to come to kind of a state of calmness and all when they do it. It's because you can't out meditate just a bad situation that you're in. There are some situations, there are some things that happen in your life that you can't just focus on it and be happy. You can't just will yourself to be in a state of happiness or in a state of contentment. And the same thing with your projects. You can't write your way out of bad sleep. If you can't sleep at night because there's a bunch of noise, a bunch of dogs barking outside your window, a bunch of noise from your neighbors every night, what have you, you can't have a strong writing session and get your happiness level back up. It's like there are certain things you have to address in your life, in your current living situation, that need to basically be taken care of first. The writing will not outdo that. You can't. And that's sort of where I've been in these past few weeks. It's very, very small things, very, very small things that I've just neglected, just in my personal life, things that I've kind of put off doing, and obligations that I haven't gotten around to doing. And I'm realizing now that I've started to tackle, especially just started to tackle a lot of these projects on this kind of to-do list that I have now, the writing's gone a little better. Like today's session was a little bit more relaxed. You don't really realize how much the outside affects your writing until until you start to kind of take care of those problems. Then you look back and you go, wow, that was definitely something that was on my mind. Yeah, in those spaces of time where I'm supposed to be using my imagination on this project here, these thoughts were coming into my head, because I'd put these things off, these worries, these things I just had not gotten around to doing. And so that's what this week is really all about, is just taking care of those things, getting those things done, getting that to-do list completed. That way I can come back to the keyboard with a more balanced, I guess, mind, a more tranquil mind, in a sense. And so if you yourself are in the middle of a project, consider that. Yeah, there are some circumstances we face where it's difficult, and certainly not by any means easy. And you still can write. Again, there are plenty of writers that wrote while starving to death, that still pen their work. But as I've said before, was that their best work? Did their writing bring them any sense of happiness? Probably not. Probably very little. If you're starving and you've got these hunger pains all the time, it's like, even when you're writing, you're probably not getting a whole lot of satisfaction out of doing it. I doubt very much that it was providing much distraction or comfort from their situation. I think it was just out of a necessity of needing the money for their work and surviving, not so much out of the intrinsic satisfaction of doing their work. Did they find any pleasure at all? And so, with that, I'm going to sign off here. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will be back tomorrow.